You're awake right now, and you're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead, and you haven't gone to hell. Unquote. Rachel Maddow, a former host on CNN, spoke those words to the camera during the 2016 election. Late-night host Jimmy Kimmel had similar words following the 2024 election. It was a terrible night for women and children, poor people, for the middle class, for democracy and decency. Unquote. But Rachel Maddow didn't really believe that following the 2016 election, the country would undergo hell-like conditions. Jimmy Kimmel didn't actually believe, despite his tears, that women and children would suffer for the next 4 years under a new president. Even if those who spout falsehoods don't actually believe them, those falsehoods influence others around them. Family, books, teachers, and movies shape personal beliefs. But one group of these influences sits behind shiny desks. This group brazenly declares what is right and what is wrong, who should have power, and who deserves insult. This group is a subset of political commentators, and their worldview of false outrage and moral confusion has corrupted the morality of millions of Americans. In this speech, we will discuss what false outrage is, and how it replaces true morality, and finally, the growing reach of false outrage. In the introduction, we saw instances where media figures were outraged, but their outrage wasn't real. It was a show for the cameras. False outrage. By definition, false outrage isn't real. It's a purposeful exaggeration of anger, shock, and indignation. As writers for The Minimalist, a blog that encourages simple living, put it, quote, "We've all gotten offended without asking ourselves why, and then use our fake outrage to cast a judgment on others. We do this. We judge people because it helps us feel better. And pretending to be outraged and offended is much easier than attempting to breach the walls of introspection." Unquote. It's much simpler to destroy someone in the YouTube comments section than to ask, why do I believe this? According to this worldview, false outrage fulfills the moral duty of compassion. This twisted worldview has morality backwards. Faking anger on behalf of others is not compassion, it is false righteousness. Author Glenn Beck describes the human effect in his book, Addicted to Outrage. Quote, "It deprives human beings of genuine humanity, replacing instead with an outwardly facing caricature of a virtuous human being wrapped around a rotting corpse." Unquote. The media belief that false outrage is a moral act stems from deeper moral confusion. The media worldview maintains that saying good words amounts to or even surpasses doing good deeds. Joshua Grubbs, an associate professor of psychology at the University of New Mexico, did a study. In that study, he found that, quote, "participants self-reported their motivation for moral grandstanding as status-seeking," unquote. Members of the media hope to heighten their status in the eyes of others by taking strong stands where they feel that they have the moral high ground. Another late-night host, Stephen Colbert, has done exactly that. Quote, "I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but in 1939 they held a pro-Nazi rally there," unquote. With this remark, Colbert insinuated that Trump is Nazi-adjacent. Having created a straw man out of Trump, an evil Nazi, Stephen Colbert spared no words, swearing at Trump live on national television. His statements make sense within a worldview which treats moral grandstanding, even at exaggerated or symbolic evils, as an act of virtue. False outrage doesn't stay online, though. It doesn't cower behind screens. Humans copy the behaviors and worldviews of the people they spend their time around. Talk show hosts and media figures consume a significant portion of many people's days. Logically, the worldviews of these influences seep into the culture. Unfortunate statistics demonstrate this. According to the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, a free speech organization, quote, This year, more than 2/3 of students, 68%, said that shouting down a speaker is at least rarely acceptable. Even more concerning, about a third of students, 32%, reported that using violence to stop a campus speech is at least rarely acceptable. Unquote. The report noted that these numbers have risen significantly over the past few years. I've had a personal experience with false outrage. 3 years ago, my grandparents and I went to the March for Life in Washington, D.C. When the march ended, I kept my poster as a souvenir. A woman saw me carrying my poster, began screaming at 13-year-old me, telling me I should not participate in a march. Likely, her beliefs came from political commentators online. But they caused her to take action in the real world. She believed yelling at 13-year-olds about politics makes you a better person. False outrage seeps into the real world, and there it causes even more harm. As we've seen in this report, the worldview of some political commentators celebrates false outrage. Even though specific media figures don't deserve all the blame, but their worldview does deserve the blame. Their worldview is false. Fake outrage is not a virtue. Moral grandstanding is not a good deed. The moral confusion of media hosts has eroded the genuine compassion of millions and transformed it into outrage.